Shots were just fired at a Donald Trump rally in Pennsylvania, and the story is still breaking, but a bullet appears to have grazed Donald Trump's ear. I want to play you guys a third camera angle. Probably the most thorough one was caught by C-SPAN. They catch the whole 90 seconds where Donald Trump gets back up after, pumps his fist, and you see a little bit of blood on his ear near his cheek. We don't know exactly what's happened. We don't know exactly how many shots were fired. Incredibly intense stuff. If you look at this screenshot right here, you can see blood on Donald Trump's ear and a little bit on his cheek. It does look like he was grazed by a bullet. A bullet went through his ear, which is wild. Secret Service then continued to usher him off stage. Bradley P. Moss on Twitter said, "I don't give a damn how much you hate Trump. Find the shooter and lock him/them up. We are Americans. You don't shoot your opponent." And I absolutely agree with that tweet. We live in a democracy where murdering your political opponents should not be accepted. Donald Trump is always playing the victim, but in this case, he was the victim of a shooting, and we need to acknowledge that.
Are you fucking retarded? The hell's the matter with you?
And here's a high-quality photo of Donald Trump with blood on his ear, pumping his fist as the Secret Service escorts him off stage. The New York Times reads, "Trump rushed off stage at rally after what sounded like shots. The former president was escorted."
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
And I just want to reiterate, if we want to stay logically consistent, we should condemn political violence no matter who does it. I get that we dislike Donald Trump. I get that we dislike the effect he has on our country and the people living in it, but that doesn't mean that we should stoop down to their level and hope for political violence. Then we're no better than the people on January 6th, like I said earlier. But for a while now, Donald Trump has tried to paint himself as a martyr. He tries to push the boundaries of these gag orders so that he gets punished and he can say he's a martyr. And I'm worried that whatever this shooter wanted to do, whatever he intended, this may have the opposite effect. Donald Trump may be able to effectively turn himself into a martyr. Even though he wasn't killed, I can already see the Truth Social posts saying, "The deep state tried to assassinate me, but they failed. I will be your next president whether they like it or not." I can already see the posts of him trying to turn himself into a martyr. And yes, he's the victim, but you can already see how he's going to use this for his political gain.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
So yeah, my worry is in this critical time when Joe Biden is already down in the polls, he's already struggling in the swing states, and he's given a lot of decent appearances lately, but the decent appearances haven't quite been enough to capture the threat that is Donald Trump.
You stupid.
They're not.
What's 9 plus 10?
21.
You stupid.
We need somebody out there powerfully explaining what the Supreme Court ruling meant, powerfully explaining the Brad Raffensperger phone call or the fake elector scheme, and I'm worried that this will only galvanize Donald Trump's fan base. This assassination attempt, number one, it's going to go down in history like all of them do, whether we like it or not. The Reagan assassination attempt, you guys can probably picture the picture in your head, and that may be what happens here. So in a time when the Democrats don't have a candidate that is quite exciting, I mean, I'm excited at the idea of beating Donald Trump. Joe Biden has been the best president in decades.
And that means defeating Kamala Harris in a landslide.
In a landslide. Donald Trump cannot speak at his rally in West Palm Beach, Florida, that is full of cognitive misfires, full of rants about random objects that don't really go anywhere, that don't end in any satisfying way, and full of slurred sentences. I want to break it all down, but first, keep in mind this is the man who makes fun, who bullies President Biden every time he misspeaks, every time he stutters, but Donald Trump has free reign to misspeak as much as he wants, and nobody says anything. The media holds the two to different standards.
Touch grass. I can't.
I eated it all!
Radical, liberal, Kamala Harris gets in. And by the way, there are numerous ways of saying her name. They were explaining to me, you can say Kamala, you can say Kamala. I said, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter what I say. I couldn't care less if I mispronounce it or not. I couldn't care less.
Wow, what a big tough guy. Shiver me timbers. He couldn't care less if he mispronounces his opponent's name.
Do you have any idea
How crazy you are.
Literally nobody cares how Donald Trump pronounces VP Harris's name when he's acting like some mob boss who is threatening his enemy. This doesn't mean anything to anybody. Also, do words not mean anything anymore? Because Donald Trump said that VP Harris is a radical liberal, but by definition, liberalism means stuff like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, free enterprise. This is a literal definition of liberalism, and liberals are not radical by any means. Also, Donald Trump tries to paint her as some trigger-happy DA who was locking everybody up in sight, but also some radical left defund the police person, when these two things are contradictory. But there is something deeper about Donald Trump refusing to pronounce VP Harris's name correctly. I mean, he has already attacked her racial identity multiple times. Trump begins attacking VP Harris's racial identity. Trump couldn't resist sharing a meme. Trump shared a racist meme circulating online criticizing Kamala Harris's racial identity. Harris was born to Jamaican and Indian immigrant parents. And this is an article from 2016 that says California's Kamala Harris becomes first Indian American U.S. Senator. And then in 2020, it says Biden picks Harris as running mate, first black woman. But these two things aren't contradictory at all. Actually, you'd have to be a moron to think that they are contradictory, but that fits the bill with Donald Trump. On to the next clip.
Okay. Two things, okay? Shut up.
It was good, and they're doing the same thing with her. She was a bum 3 weeks ago. She was a bum. A failed vice president in a failed administration. It was so bad.
There is nothing failed about the administration, number one. Number two, she is more accomplished than Donald Trump will ever be. She has been an attorney general, a DA, a senator, a vice president. Now she could be the...
Would be Rocky the Flying Squirrel, Mr. Gecko, sir.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump was literally handed everything in life, lost it multiple times, then somehow got lucky and reshaped his image by starring in The Apprentice. Donald Trump has no room to talk. Here is Donald Trump talking about Jewish Americans, just making comments that are offensive towards every single group in America.
And he said he's getting asked that question a lot. I said, how can a Jewish person or a person that loves Israel vote, think of this, vote for these parties? I mean, how can they vote Democrat? How can they vote for these horrible people that want to destroy?
Can I just point out something incredibly interesting? So I go to a lot of these Trump rallies, and at these Trump rallies, they say that President Biden and his administration are pro-Hamas. They... I think that Biden literally supports Hamas and funds Hamas. I also have a lot of Muslim American family and friends, and we've spent hours and hours debating about this topic extensively. You guys know me, you know I love to debate, so we always talk about it. I'm always defending Biden. They think Biden is pro-genocide. So you have one side on the extreme that think Biden is genuinely bloodthirsty and pro-genocide. You have the other side that thinks he is supporting Hamas and is some anti-Semitic ghoul. So both extremes need to chill out and maybe understand that Biden is doing his best. VP Harris is doing her best.
Yikes. Well, good luck with all that.
But I asked him, how do they vote for Democrats? Everything is negative. Everything, they want to stay in the way. They don't want to have victory. They want to stop you from having victory.
Everything is negative with Democrats. Donald Trump is the one bringing this country down, dragging it with his claws and leaving claw marks because he refuses to leave. He refuses to leave this front center stage of American politics, and in doing so, he is bringing violence. He is bringing tension. He is the one that immediately ratcheted the tensions from the moment he set foot in American politics. He is the one that nuked the border bill. So the idea that Democrats get in the way, or Democrats are always negative, it's just so much projection with this guy. Donald Trump is literally the most negative politician I've ever heard.
You are 100% wrong.
They want to put you in jail. They want to persecute you. How does a Jewish person vote for a Democrat? And traditionally, they have. No.
Maybe because all of the far-right Nazi anti-Semites are part of the Republican Party. Maybe because Donald Trump had dinner with Nick Fuentes, an actual neo-Nazi, like a literal Nazi who thinks Jewish people should all be burned alive. The people that Donald Trump associates himself with are wicked, and that is why Jewish people vote Democrat overwhelmingly.
Or
here's another idea that's going to be very controversial. You could shut the fuck up.
She went back to him, and she will go back. If she ever got in, she will go back to all of those horrible original thoughts that she had. She'll appoint hardcore Marxists to the Supreme.
Again, do words not mean anything anymore? He's saying that VP Harris will appoint hardcore Marxists to the Supreme Court, but at the same time, she is a liberal, but at the same time, she is a communist Marxist. I mean, words don't mean anything to Donald Trump, and it's a prime example of that political doublespeak that Donald Trump has gotten so good at. VP Harris can at the same time be a radical liberal who locks everyone up.
Bitch, please.
Breaking news, this may be the best article I've read all day. Donald Trump supporters flipping to Kamala Harris in new CNN poll. Now, VP Harris has had a stellar first few days of her campaign. She raised $86 million in grassroots donations within the first 24 hours of announcing her run, and that quickly exceeded $100 million. She's also been endorsed by a bunch of congressmen, by a bunch of governors. Her campaign is off to a great start, and this new CNN poll shows her competitive with Donald Trump. Keep in mind, CNN polls are high quality, they are A+, and her odds of beating Donald Trump are already better than Biden's, even though we still have an uphill battle to fight. But leave a like on the video if you're ready to fight that battle.
That was so terrible, I think you gave me cancer.
This article reads, Vice President Kamala Harris is winning over some of former President Donald Trump's supporters, according to a new CNN poll. Harris is viewed as the frontrunner to win the Democratic presidential nomination.
Boring.
No, the Donald Trump is regretting picking J.D. Vance. I'll finish that article about the polls in a second, but notice how awkward and forced the dynamic is between Donald Trump and his VP pick, J.D. Vance. He is absolutely regretting it, and he is going to start losing in the polls if they keep having clips like this released.
We've always had a good chemistry, and originally J.D. was probably not for me, but he didn't know me. And then when we got to know each other, he liked me maybe more than anybody liked me, and he would stick up for me, and he'd fight for the worker as much as I fight for the worker. We just had an automatic chemistry.
I absolutely doubt that. There's no chemistry. J.D. Vance has no charisma. It is not working how Trump wanted it to work. Of a Harris-Trump race. Keywords right here, early days. We are in the early days of the Harris campaign. She has barely even started. She's going to start relentlessly holding rallies, town halls, calling into news stations, going into the Lion's Den, hopefully going on Fox News. I hate Fox News as well, but it's really important for candidates to speak to the other side, to speak to the middle of the aisle voters, or voters who may have a preconceived notion that doesn't fit reality. A lot of people think VP Harris is always just laughing and weird, but she is very good. She is a very good public speaker.
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
Half of those who back Harris in the new poll, 50%, say their vote is more in support of her than against Trump. That's a dramatic shift compared with the Trump-focused dynamic of the Biden-Trump race. Among Biden supporters, just 37% said their vote was mainly to express support for the president. So that shift in enthusiasm right there is absolutely massive. I mean, hating Donald Trump does motivate some people.
Oh, it's big. Here we go. Here we go. Beastie Boo Boo's sandwich. Beastie Boo Boo sandwich.